So, recently, I was sitting at my PC thinking about the Persona series, how much I love it, adore the characters, the music, and the stories the games tell. But one thing always crosses my mind whenever I revisit Persona in my memories.
Persona 3 was a bit painful to play, wasn't it?
Persona 3 released in 2006 in Japan and 2007 in other territories, with the re-release Persona 3 Fez, which added new stuff, coming out in 2007 in Japan and 2008 in other territories. Both of these came out on the PlayStation 2. Persona 3 also got a release on the PlayStation Portable titled Persona 3 Portable, which added a female protagonist route and a few other things in 2009 in Japan, 2010 in North America, and 2011 in European territories. And while Persona 3 is an amazing game with some of the best musical tracks in the series and one of the best stories in the series, if not the best story in the series, I've always found it a bit of a pain to play. You might not be aware that unlike later games in the series, that you cannot control your teammates, though for the portable release they changed that. But unless you're playing portable, you're gonna be burning your dread without being able to control your teammates directly. They act on their own, though you can issue tactics in battle that'll change how they function. It's not the worst, honestly, but the AI can make some infuriating mistakes that make it a pain to play. I specifically played the Fez version and had several annoying fights where my teammates did things improperly that led to their deaths, or was just an oopsie. And while Portable rectified that issue, it also took away the in-game cutscenes and replaced them with a visual novel rendition of the story. I do love visual novels. Some of my favorites include Steins Gate and Fate Stay Night. It's just that, after seeing Persona 3's normal cutscenes, I do think a little something was lost in the transition to a VN style of story for it. Though, don't get me wrong, it's still great. I just always default to the PS2 version when I'm itching to revisit the game. Persona 3, especially compared to the more popular entries in the series like Persona 4 and 5, is definitely starting to show its age. But it's also one of the few games that ever made me cry, that ever made me really think and reflect on its story and themes. But as I was sitting here thinking and reflecting on Persona 3, it makes me wonder if people who got into the series at Persona 5 would go back and enjoy Persona 3 with some of its outdated problems. Of course, everyone's different. Someone who goes back and plays Persona 3 might enjoy the gameplay, and it might hook them immediately. It started to click with me towards the end of the game, but it took a long time for it to click. And I can imagine that it'll make several people drop it, especially if they're used to being able to control their party directly in a JRPG. But for those who have played Persona 3, it's left a lasting impression on them. Every friend I've talked to that's played Persona 3 through to the end, and really connected with them, has walked away with stories about how a character's arc has touched them, or how the themes of the game really resonated within them, or just how it helped them through personal issues. But one of the problems with Persona 3 these days is if you can even play it. Both versions of Persona 3 are available on the PlayStation 2, obviously, and Fez is available to be played on the PlayStation 3. And of course, Persona 3 Portable is available on the PlayStation Portable, PlayStation Vita, and PlayStation TV. If you don't know what the PlayStation TV is, it's a doohickey that hooks up to your TV and you can play Vita games. It's sick nasty, man. Fez and Portable are easy to emulate using PCSX2 for Fez and PPSSPP for Portable, respectively, on PC, with PPSSPP even being able to be ran on Android phones. They are easy enough to emulate these days, but emulation isn't for everyone. It can be a pain to set up, things could go wrong, or it just doesn't run sometimes, either due to hardware or just emulation errors. Sony on the PlayStation 4 started to re-release some PS2 titles using emulation under the PS2 on PS4 banner, digital only on the PlayStation Store, which made them playable on the PS4 with no hassle or setup required, similar to what they did with the PlayStation 3. However, as of the time of recording, Persona 3 Fez or normal Persona 3 aren't playable on the PS4. So, if you can't play the game with any of those options, does it have an anime adaptation like Persona 4 and 5? Yeah, actually it does. Though it's 4 anime movies. The first movie is called Spring of Birth, second one is Midsummer Night's Dream, third one is Falling Down, and the final one is Winter of Rebirth. They're alright, but do skip chunks of the story. I watched the movies twice, once by myself and once with someone who's never experienced the story of Persona 3, and they thoroughly enjoyed the story, even without the stuff the movie skipped. So the movies are definitely worth a watch if you have no way to play the game, but still want to experience the story somehow. But I would say the game is the definitive way to experience Persona 3's story. Though, there is a question lingering in the air. How about a remake? Is it likely? Maybe. Of course, some fans will say that Persona 1 and the two Persona 2 games, Eternal Punishment and Innocent Sin, deserve remakes before Persona 3, and while I'm inclined to agree, I'd say that if Atlus were to remake any Persona game anytime soon, it'd be Persona 3. It fits the formula that the series has adopted, more than 1 and especially 2 do. In regards to Persona 3, though, Lotus Juice, who, if you're into Persona, you already know, said back on the 31st of January 2020 on Twitter that if you want a Persona 3 remake, to make some noise. This happened due in part, I believe, to him catching wind of the Persona 3 remake hashtag and movement. The hashtag dates back all the way to 2017 and is a part of the movement to get a remake of Persona 3, a movement that continues to grow. Hashtag Persona 3 Remake got so popular, in fact, that it was trending on Twitter worldwide for a bit. And that's rad. But of course, they could always just re-release Persona 3, probably the FES version, hopefully the FES version, on the PSN store under the PS2 and PS4 banner. If they were to re-release Persona 3 outside of the PS2 and PS4 banner, though, I'd prefer it to be a remake instead of just an upscaling and texture touch-up job of the PS2 version of FES, with some gameplay tweaks like being able to control your party members directly, though that could potentially break some of the game's balance, and they might have to adjust the difficulty accordingly. If we only got an upscaled, tweaked re-release on modern hardware, though, I wouldn't complain, as it would make Persona 3 more available for everyone. But they might not do that. You see, Persona 3 got a dancing game back in 2018 with HD assets of the cast. Even had some new banger tracks and was a fun rhythm game overall. They're even inserting the protagonist of Persona 3 as a bonus fight DLC in Persona 5 The Royal, which is rad. What if they were to take those assets and retool them to a full-on HD remake of Persona 3? Excited by the idea? I am too. And I know there are hundreds of fans who would want it. The best thing you can do, though, if you're wanting a Persona 3 remake, is to continue to make some noise. Participate in hashtag Persona 3 remake events on Twitter, make YouTube videos, sorta like what I'm doing, and whatever else you can think of. What if we don't get a remake, remaster, or anything? Is it worth going and finding a way to play Persona 3? Yeah, I'd say so. Even though I have my complaints with the gameplay, I've mentioned this already, but the story is top-notch. It has, in my opinion, some of the best character writing that Atlus has ever done, and one of the most emotional roller coaster third acts I've ever played. I'm sure Atlus is aware of all the people wanting a remake or a remaster by now, and are hopefully considering it. I definitely hope they go through with making a remake of Persona 3. For a lot of people, it's the game that got them into the series, and it deserves a chance to touch a new audience now that the series has grown even further in popularity since the release of Persona 3. Persona 3 is a game that has a lasting impression, but due to availability issues and gameplay issues, I think it's not reaching as many people as it could. So, come on, Atlus. Give us a remake, remaster of improvements, something. And while you're at it, release Persona 4 Golden from Vita Hell. Okay, thanks, bye.